What's up, everybody? Welcome back to RBL Weekly. It is week 11 of the 2025 Roast Battle League season, sponsored exclusively by Neft Vodka. I am the commissioner of the Roast Battle League, Pat Barker, joined as always by the host and creator of the Roast Battle, Brian Moses. What are you looking forward to today, Moses?
I'm excited. Week 11. Love saying the weeks like it's football. This is fun for us. I'm exhausted. I can't stop reading those Diddy and Cassie text messages.
Oh.
So it's just been keeping me up at night.
Yeah, there's a lot there. There's a lot there, man. It is. I mean, look, we're not that podcast. I'm sure there's a million podcasts that'll go more into depth on this than we will. But it is funny how, like, you know, all the Epstein stuff was just like,
can we get a black guy in here? Can we get a black guy to frame, please?
Yeah, and then Diddy, it's like, here's a text conversation from 14 years ago that we still, you know what I mean? Like, there's just an abundance of like evidence and names and shit just like coming to the forefront.
No, black guys are on some white guy shit right now. You know, you got Diddy's Epstein, you've got Kanye doing the whole thing. So, are we allowed to say on this, or are we going to get demonetized?
Well, there's only one way to find out, and I think we just did.
Nice.
You know,
the N-word you can't say.
I will say this. I think it's nice. I think it is evening the playing field that you guys are still stealing our culture for once.
Yeah, your culture is our costume.
Right.
Yeah.
We took rock and roll. You can have the Third Reich.
This is our blackface.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're doing Nazi face.
Yeah. I think that works for everybody. Yeah, 100% demonetized in the first 2 minutes. What the? We should have done this after like the third battle when the robots aren't watching us anymore.
Oh man.
So we get into this week, and you know, I was back on the beat this week, ranking the battles. And last week I was pleasantly surprised because everybody was like, "Oh, this is like the worst week of battles," and I was like, "Oh, it's pretty good." You know, this week we got some interesting stuff. We got some names we've seen a bunch. We got some rookies. We got some all-star talk. Are we allowed to announce the specifics on the all-star game yet?
Can we? I'm excited. I don't even know. I'm like the people at home. I'm the people. You're the commish. You got to let us know.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're the one. The venue's locked in. It's locked.
It's
locked. July 13th at the Comedy Cellar in New York City. We will be returning for the 2025 RBL All-Star Game. And it's around that time where we have to start talking about who's going to be representing what city. Again, if you didn't see it last year, it's 5-on-5, 5 individual battles, West versus East. Whatever you know, conference wins 3 out of the 5 takes home the All-Star victory. Last year, it was the East reigning supreme with Shelley Gruenberg from Atlanta taking home the All-Star Game MVP. And I'll tell you this, looks like Shelley has already kind of punched her ticket back into that game.
Really? Two-time All-Star Shelley Gruenberg.
Yeah, the MVP it looks like is going to be returning. You know, assuming you know, she's available and everything. I got to start reaching out to people. But 3-0 this season. She had the highest ranked Atlanta battle. It seems like she's going to be representing. Some of the other cities are a little bit tougher. There's going to be some difficult calls, and we're going to get into a couple of those on today's episode.
Exciting.
Let's jump into it. Let's start with the number 7 battle this week. And early on in the season, there has been a lot of different storylines. One of the main ones is the race to the top between Chicago and New York. Coming into this week, New York with a 1-point lead over Chicago. Those guys have been around the top of the rankings every single week. And this week, Chicago starts us off with the number 7 battle. So this picks up a point. This will tie them, at least temporarily, for New York with 6 more spots on the countdown. You got to think we'll probably be seeing New York before the episode ends. But Chicago, as of this second, is now tied for the lead in the East, thanks to the number 7 battle of the week. It is Devin Glass versus Harold Patrick. Here it is.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How are you feeling? Doing good? Hell yeah, it's good to hear. Please give it up for Casper, the friendly fentanyl addict, everybody. He's fucking awesome. Devin looks like a vampire that only sucks the blood of COVID patients.
That's coming from Casper, the friendly gets ghosted a lot. I'm proud to be battling the most handsome school shooter there is. The other day, Harold came up to me and he said in quotes, he said, "Hey, is there any way that I can look less like a school shooter?" I said in quotes, "Put down the gun."
I don't think that will help, but I'll try. Devin, you constantly sunburnt, motherfucker. Devin, I'm pretty sure you wear sunscreen to bed. I'm not gonna lie, but I will say you are the hottest guy in the cancer ward. I will say.
Doesn't Harold look like he gets everywhere with a snowboard? I asked him what he was up to this summer, and he said he was gonna save the community center. Alright, fuck you too.
I didn't like that one either, guys. Devin is balding in his late 20s, which is sad. What's even sadder is that he also has to wear that face along with it, you know?
I'm balding, but you look like Landlord Voldemort. Folks, I'm happy to be here. Harold actually has a TV credit. In fact, he's the only Nickelodeon victim that didn't come forward.
Because I'm a man and I hold that shit in, that's what
He held it in, all right. And then it leaked out of him on the walk home.
Oh. Damn.
He's the hottest woman here, it's okay.
Devin is sober. Well, he smokes weed, so he's California sober. Or commonly known as dude who gives a shit.
Harold looks like he owns a bunch of Indiana Jones costumes, but just so he can justify to his dad all the whips in his bedroom.
Last joke.
Alright. Devin is so pale that when ghosts get a shocked look on their face, they all say to each other, dude, you look like you just saw a Devin.
Harold's actually a friend of mine. Before this, we were talking about our favorite and least favorite TV shows. I told him that I hated the show Asian Aliens. That's a long setup. I'm gonna beat the shit out of that guy. Yeah. I told him that I hated the show Ancient Aliens, and we got into the conversation before I realized he thought we were talking about Asian aliens. Isn't that big of a deal, except he kept saying how much he also hated them. Fuck you, pussy.
All right, give it up to these two guys. Thanks so much for them.
All right, number 7 battle of the week. In their words, the most handsome school shooter versus the hottest guy at the cancer ward. Harold Patrick,
Accurate.
Devin Glass, maybe the biggest laugh of the thing coming from an audience member.
Shout out that audience member. Big feature.
Bro, that's a long setup.
Oh, man. I mean, he wasn't wrong.
What a devastating heckle. Oh, my God. So much worse than, like, you're not funny. That's a long setup. Just, like, an observation about your joke structure is crazy.
Honestly, nominee for Joke of the Year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who was that guy's name? We got to get it.
We got it. Surprise. That was like Max Sorich or Brandon Kiefer. Chicago planted one of their best battlers in the crowd. Like, we got to save this battle. I would say probably the weakest showing of the year so far from Chicago. They've been on a roll. This one was not really, connecting for me in a lot of places. I felt like the biggest laugh between the two battlers was the kind of off the top thing about where he said, I'm a man, I hold it in. And then he's like, he held it in and then it leaked out on the way. Like that was great. The written stuff, it just felt like, it was okay.
It was vanilla, which is crazy because I like Harold and Devin. I think I know them from Chicago. I think a little bit. I've seen their sets. They're funny cats, and you can tell they're friends. Which obviously, at this point, everybody's kind of friends doing this. It just felt like they weren't trying to not be friends. I think that's what it felt like. It felt like it wasn't really you heard some things about them. You learned a little bit about them here and there, but they weren't going too hard. It was like two dudes jabbing, not really trying to like cause too much damage because they're preparing for another fight. That's what it felt like. It almost like they were avoiding each other. They kept like going around the ring and just kind of like hitting each other, not really trying to knock each other out.
Yeah, like a sparring session.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, that's cool, but why is that number 7? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, look, I watched the battles this week. We had 13 battles. I did not feel like it was the strongest week we've ever had. I don't believe I had Chicago on my rankings, but towards that like 6 through 11, there's a lot of stuff that was just kind of like on that level. That one happened via tiebreaker to end up in 7th instead of 8th, so they do pick up a point. But I think this is I think in most weeks that battle would not rank. We'll
Correct.
say that.
Yeah.
We'll say that.
Yeah, exactly. They took it as a writing exercise. They did the job. Like, they wrote some jokes. They told them. They did the performance. They did the dance a little bit. But they weren't trying to cause too much. Not too much damage.
And shout out to the guy in the comments. I think it was last week or the week before. Every now and then I duck in and see what people are saying. And I saw one person say, and I appreciate this. He said, "I love the fact that you guys are honest about the battles and you don't come out here and cheerlead for your company and just be like, oh, that was amazing if it wasn't."
Right.
And it's like, what would be the point of that? Like, you guys saw the same battle we did. You guys saw the same battle we did. We will point out the positives. We will point out the negatives. We will always be honest about this thing. I think it's important, to be honest to the viewers and like tell them what we're seeing, because they also see it. And if we came out and we were like, oh my God, those guys were on fire, they'd be like, I can't watch this shit.
All right, I'll be honest then, because I think that's directed, because every time you're not here and I have like the Bay Area crew with me, all we're doing is bigging up the battles. We don't we don't hate anything. I'm like Paula Abdul on American, whatever the fuck that was.
Yeah.
But definitely that's I'm always like, oh man, that was great, isn't this? And Means or Far, will say something. They'll be like, yeah. And then Paige was like really going in on people, but we were always, oh, that was the greatest thing I've ever seen. Oh my God. And yeah, it makes it. They don't trust you after that.
To be fair. That was the best week of battles we've had, maybe ever.
And that's all I'm saying, you guys.
Maybe
Put some context in it.
Yeah.
But you're right.
Absolutely. But
I was pandering a lot.
Paige is very like positive generally.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of a pessimist. So I watch these and I gotta,
She was probably mad that we were taking her shtick, because we were just like, oh, this is great, dude. And she's just like, well, no, the joke was this and this. Like, what do you? Come on, guys. Like, don't take my shtick. You're taking my act.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, Paige.
That week it was legitimately great. But you know what? If we had that week every week, it wouldn't be special. So sometimes you got to have this week. Let's keep it moving right now and get to the number 6 battle. And this comes to us from Austin. As we mentioned last week, we're going to be starting a new show in Austin at the Vulcan Gas Company to go along with our show at the Creek and our showcases at the Mothership. Got some big dates coming up. May 25th is the first one at Vulcan, I believe.
Memorial Day weekend, 7:30 p.m.
There it is. The Creek is the 2nd and 4th Friday of every month. Make sure you get your tickets for that. And then we will be at the Mothership for 2 shows on June 15th. An all Austin show and a league showcase that we are putting the finishing touches on right now. So if you're in the Austin area, make sure you come out to one or all of those. Would love to see you there, and come up afterwards and say hey. The number 6 battle this week comes to us from Austin, and it is a guy that we've seen a few times at the Mothership, once here on the podcast, against a guy making his first podcast appearance. This is Ray Shenevie versus Tanner Amiglio. Here it is.
Tanner Amiglio, Ray Shenevie. Tanner, I'm going to let you go first. Here we go, everyone. Make some noise for these guys.
Ray, you look like an extra for an open casket funeral.
Thank you, Randall from Monsters, Inc.
Hot crowd, dude.
Thank you. All right. Tanner's dad has cancer, which Tanner says is totally mid, bro, for real, for real. On God, literally, because he's going to hell because Tanner's gay. All right.
Is that how that works?
Hey, Ray, speak with your eyes closed next time. You're freaking everybody out. Ray looks like he belongs in a concentration camp, and all the Jews would say, yeah, this place sucks, but that Ray guy's really freaking me out. Fucking weirdo, dude. They'd be in line at the bread being like, oh, I can't look at his eyes anymore, dude. Hitler sucks, but this guy's worse.
Thank you, Fortnite slave owner. All right. Tanner is Asian and Italian. So before he beats his girlfriend, he bows, all right?
Yeah. You should see what I do before I go on your mom, dude. Fucking, I do some kung fu moves. Thanks for being here. You're built like a cadaver that's addicted to coke. When Ray gets nervous, he chews on his finger. Yeah, with his butt. Fucking dude. Look, he's got his top button unbuttoned. What are you doing out here? You think you're gonna get pussy like that, you weirdo? Fucking.
Thank you, lizard that likes graffiti. Yo, you look like you have to fuck under a heat lamp.
All right, Banana Film Corner, shut the fuck up. You had your fun. Calm down. All right, Tanner, your turn.
Oh, okay. Thanks for being here, Ray. I know you gotta beat an owl in a staring contest later.
Oh.
When Ray dirty talks during sex, he says, don't tell Mom.
Thank you. Look, Tanner looks like when cat calls women with his friends, he goes like this. What's up, baby? How you doing? He's Asian. All right, go.
Ray, that joke sucked. I'm just gonna take a picture of this moment right here.
Oh, mine's bigger, you
Stealing
Asian
my bit. Stealing my bit. No.
Let's go contact.
There's also been a your mom joke.
Stealing my bit. You're stealing my whole fucking joke.
He got your ass, dog. All right, that was 5, guys. Give it up.
Okay, cool.
Tanner and Ray,
Hang on, there's more.
Great.
Don't stop it yet.
I don't think that was
You guys
five.
want to do one more?
I have one more.
All right, we'll do one more, everyone.
So he's Asian and Italian, right? This is my impression of him. Ready? Hey, I'm bad at driving here. You come to me on the day of my daughter's foot binding.
That's great.
Ray's parents, he told me they aren't divorced, they just live in different houses. Yeah, keep dreaming, kid. Oh, fuck, whatever. Fuck you guys.
All right, guys,
Whatever,
give it
I
up
don't
for
give a fuck.
Tanner Amiglio and Ray Shenevie.
All right. Ray Shenevie, Tanner Amiglio. Broke all the rules of roast battle. There was physical contact. You say original material. No, your mama jokes. We've heard a lot of your mama jokes recently, and it's almost strictly rebuttals. That's become a thing that, like, I think we
Skirting the rules.
I think we could kill the thing where, like, no matter what they say about you, it's like, yeah, that's not what your mom said last night. It's like, all right.
That's got to go in that, over our hack joke section.
Yeah. Charity Gregory is working on putting together a very comprehensive list. So
Nice. Thank you, Charity.
I hope she's watching now because there's some shit this week that she could throw in there. Let's start with the good. Ray, his dad has cancer, which he describes as totally mid-bro, for real.
Oh.
Incredible. And you come to me on the day of my daughter's foot binding is outrageous. I thought Ray had some really funny stuff, and I've always enjoyed his performances at the mothership. He's really good at this and fun.
He's so funny, so silly. It feels like he's not taking it seriously, but he's nailing it, right? It feels effortless, but it's not, because he's putting a lot of effort in, because he is. I mean, the Fortnite dances, I thought that was cool. He did a different one every time. I thought that was insanely silly. He's just pitching out there, I feel like. He's just throwing balls and seeing like what's going to hit. And these hit a lot. This was fun.
Yeah.
You're right about that battle in particular, because there was a lot of the Italian Asian thing. It was, but that last joke was good. But that was a little wild in the beginning. But that felt like the last battle, just like a better version of it. You know what I mean? Like it's almost, and Ray also carried that battle, carried Tanner with him through that battle.
Yeah, and the hot crowd helps too. I mean, they were on fire.
Ray had his own fucking cheering section. He brought the banana phone crew. So I mean, that's going to help you have your own cheering section.
Yeah, no doubt. I thought that Tanner, I saw a couple of influences in his style. Number one, as far as the joke writing, when I was on the Brady roast, we wrote everybody's scripts for like the comedians came in and wrote their own stuff, but like for the non-comedians we wrote their scripts, and then we would have like meetings with them where they would pitch their own ideas. All of Tanner's jokes felt like leftovers from the Gronkowski pile. Like everything that Gronk hopped on a Zoom and was like, what if I did this or that felt like what Tanner went with, that material. So in terms of writing, I would say he's a Rob Gronkowski at this point. In terms of delivery, and I see this more and more, especially in Austin, the amount of guys who are, and they probably don't even realize they're doing it, but just like copying Shane Gillis's cadence. If you close your eyes and put a little more like bass in the voice, like every joke is like, you finish the joke and you have to trail off with like, hell yeah, you're gay, dude. Fucking dude. Yeah. Like this thing that like works for him and everybody is like trying to take, whether they realize it or not.
You remember when we were younger comics and that was the Chappelle of it all? Yeah. We all came in and everybody was kind of doing, because I heard this when the Dane Cook thing was happening. So there's all the Dane Cook copycats, right? Chappelle blows up. There's Chappelle copycats now. Cat Williams copycats. Now you're seeing this with Gillis, because I guess Gillis he's the generational guy in our generation now. So now we're seeing a lot of people he's got the influence. So they're all doing whatever. You're fucking, and then they say a slur or whatever it is to kind of save, if the joke doesn't land or it does. So yeah, they're all doing the Gillis, and I mean, it's fun. I'm not going to say I don't like it.
No, I'm not. I'm just an observation.
Right. I'm not saying that either. But yeah,
I'm not criticizing anybody. I mean, there's a couple of top battlers in Austin that I really like that also do that.
Oh yeah.
And I think part of it is because podcasting is so much bigger and it's more conversational kind of like style. You know what I mean? So it used to be like, people would copy Dane Cook or whatever, but you only had like an hour's worth of material with 2 hours most to go off of. With somebody who does a podcast every week, you have hundreds of hours downloaded into your brain. And it's almost like the early like ChatGPT stuff where it's like we fed ChatGPT 100 hours of whatever and asked them to write a script.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So they're all like ChatGPT versions of Shane.
Yeah, because they've been downloading the secret podcast into their heads for years. So it's just become their normal way of talking.
I guess that's kind of my issue with stand-up too a little bit. It's not I'm not going to blame the podcasters, but I'm going to blame the game, I guess, because it does now take away. It's become more of a personality game than a writing sport, right? Because it's writing and performance that gets you into the whole stand-up game, and everybody respects your writing, and obviously the crowd's going to like you as a performer and a personality. But now it's more about, I just love this guy. I don't care what he's saying up there. It doesn't have to be a structure of an hour like that classic thing. Just give me you.
The piece that they're missing, though, and I'm not referring to anybody in particular now, I'm just talking about people who come up and are leaning heavily on the personality. The piece that they're missing is you take somebody like Gillis, one of the best writers of the last, 20 years of stand-up. His shit is really well written, and he has the personality to, like, emphasize it and add to it. But they work hand in hand.
Correct.
You can't just, like, be like, oh, I'm going to do what he does and then write material that isn't nearly as good and expect it to like hit the same. At the end of the day, the writing still has to be there.
Like
that's
you said,
always the backbone.
It has to be the vehicle.
It has to be. Yeah, exactly. And then, everybody's got their own personality on top of it. You saw it with Bill Burr for years.
Exactly.
Where Burr was coming out and doing, incredibly well thought out, like smart bits. And then people would come out and just kind of pace back and forth and be like, fucking, and they would get angry. But it's like anger without the material is just anger. Carlin, it was really well written. Like prior, you could count on one hand the number of people who I think did not have really good writing and still succeeded. Like Dice was an example of somebody who was like all character. There were a few. Larry the Cable Guy, guys like that. But for the most part, even the big personalities, they had the writing to kind of like back it up. And, It's highlighted even more on Roast Battle, which is the joke writers showcase.
Exactly.
Right? So we see a lot of the more successful people in the league recently have big personalities, but they always have like the jokes.
You have to go back on it. I mean, our boy Jerron Horton, he's a co-executive producer on like one of the top shows on Netflix called Forever right now.
Yeah.
The guy, I remember him saying this, he had never like read more than 3 books in his life. Things he went to Georgia stuff. So he's a college educated dude. But he was like, I was an athlete. I don't read.
Yeah.
And I remember he got his ass kicked in Roast Battle. And I think before that, he was more a personality based comic with like a little bit of writing here and there to kind of, get him through the set. But man, after that, he became it was all writing after that.
That's crazy because the first year of Roast Battle, I was not around. And that must be when that happened because I've never known Jerron as anything other than a really smart writer.
Yeah, it's gnarly. You would have. It's crazy.
Thinking about him as a personality first comic is like that's crazy.
Complete 180.
Yeah, wow.
And now he's just a savage as a writer.
Yeah.
You got your money's worth, Georgia Southern.
Yeah, no doubt. He was the guy at the Brady roast that I was like most impressed by, and I told him that. I pulled him aside at the end. I'm like, dude, I was blown away by like not only the writing, but also like the leadership in the room. Like he's totally comfortable. Like, I just nothing but great things to say about that guy. And I'm glad that he got his ass kicked in Roast Battle. If that was the
Luke Schwartz.
Really?
Yeah, that's the origin story. That's his that's his Darth Maul.
I think that rematch would not go well for Luke Schwartz, if we're being honest.
No, it won't.
Let's keep it going right now. We get to the number 5 battle of the week, and this comes to us from Cleveland. Cleveland, slow start to the season, but they've made it a few times recently, and they clock in at number 5 this week with a fun battle. I think you're going to enjoy this one. This is Elliot Jarus, I might have mispronounced that, Jarus, whatever, versus Skippy Rose. Here it is.
Now it's time for battle.
Skippy Rose sounds like the name of the vibrator they just give you if you get your nipples pierced at Claire's. Such a silly... You have the name of a murdered child pageant star and the face of whoever came last in that pageant.
That's just not even true. Elliot writes poetry. A lot of people have accused Elliot's poetry of making women feel uncomfortable, but I think that's a crazy claim. Because much like Elliot's dick, Elliot's poetry doesn't go deep enough to make women feel anything.
That's a good joke.
I like that. That was good.
Unlike the sex.
I'm not gonna fuck. All right. All right. One thing you should know about Skippy is that her dad had 3 strokes and starved himself to death. Whoa. Another thing you should know about Skippy is that her favorite show is Just Shoot Me. Now, I hope that's not foreshadowing, but it is a scary coincidence because her dad's favorite show was Just Have 3 Strokes and Starve Me to Death.
Elliot's online presence is just filled with like out of focus like photos where he's like looking away and like really cringe captions like "It's a beautiful life," It's ironic that his Instagram screams white woman while having a face that makes white women scream.
It's like illegal to be a hot man nowadays.
Tell me about it, bro.
Skippy's half Irish and half Native American, which means she loves getting drunk and going to the casino, but only if the chips are potato.
Elliot's like if they made a Freaky Friday movie, but if a basic white bitch swapped places with their aggressor, they could call him Lindsay Brohan.
That's good. Good one, Rachel Ray Romano. When I was preparing for this battle, someone suggested to me, "Oh, you should do a joke about how she's a new mother and she kind of looks like Casey Anthony." And I would never do anything like that, because Casey Anthony was hot. Come on.
She was also slappy.
If anything, you look like present day Kaylee Anthony.
Skinnier than you. Okay, Elliot works in sales for a company where the customers design their own clothing. This isn't a surprise to his ex-girlfriends who also had to do all the work themselves.
Nah, because in my country, she wouldn't get away with this.
Ohio?
That's your guys' fault. Golly, Skippy, I love your glasses. I really do. I think you could be a sexy librarian if you knew how to read and looked a lot different.
You wish. Elliot is a proud Catholic guy, which explains why he takes his grooming so seriously. He also works on his appearance.
All right, number 5, Elliot Jarus versus Skippy Rose. Some really good moments in that one. First podcast appearance from both of them across 3 seasons. What'd you think?
That's Cleveland.
Yeah.
Welcome to it, Cleveland. Wow. Is that the first? No, that's the second one. Is that their second appearance?
I believe it's their third. They are now up to 9 points on the season.
Look at you, Cleveland. Wow. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I mean, aesthetically, that was fun to watch because they are big targets, right? Mm-hmm. He's some kind of foreigner. She's, whatever.
Lisa Loeb.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Lisa Lobotomy. She was fun. I mean, she has some great jokes in the beginning. I don't think sorry about the creaking. I don't always get to hear a lot of little dick jokes written so cleverly. So I thought that was fun. Because usually, it's a lot of slut shaming, but she was just basically like, hey, you can't fuck. Yeah, you don't get to hear those a lot.
The opener about his poetry doesn't go deep enough was unbelievable. Mm-hmm. That was a really, maybe the joke of the week, at least so far. But yeah, that opener was great. I felt like she had it towards the beginning.
Yeah.
His early thing about like, you want to talk about a long setup. Yeah, the long walk to get to her dad had a stroke and her favorite TV show is Just Shoot Me. Those are the ones that are always so risky. Like, I do encourage, and I admire the attempt, right? Because you see a lot of these where like people are just like, oh, you look like, and it's all just like very accessible. What I love about Roast Battle is the assignment and the challenge of getting information about a person and molding it into jokes. So whenever you take 2 completely random facts, it's like that's a high degree of difficulty to be like, okay, her dad died, and here's the cause of death, and her favorite song is this thing. Okay, you guys sticking with me? You have those 2 ingredients. Now I'm going to bring them together. It's like, it's really risky to do, and I've seen it done really well. That one did not connect, but I admire the fact that like, instead of just being like, oh, you're ugly, he was like, hey, here's 2 things. I'm going to try to make this work, and it didn't connect, but good try. Economy
of words has always been big.
Yes.
Right, when it comes to joke writing, and then the joke writer showcase, usually less is more in the roast battle. If you're going to attempt the big economy of words, the paragraph, the monologue, it has to pay off. You have to try it around all your friends, maybe even hit a mic or 2 and upset all the comics there that you're working on your roast battle jokes, because that just has to hit, because then it's going to feel, what's the word, cringe? Yeah, it's going to feel like we just sat through something we invested some time that we can't get back now with that joke, and it sucked. That's all it is. And then you're like, I wish you would have just done the work a little more, because that could have been a bigger payoff.
Sure.
We were hoping for it.
You're building a ramp so high that people are like, oh, he's either going to break the world record for longest jump or crash and burn. And it was the latter. Even if you just change it to, Skippy's dad had 3 strokes. Skippy's dad starved himself to death. Eliminate the strokes.
Right.
You've eliminated 40% of the words in the joke, and it's still essentially the same joke.
Yeah. Work punchline out almost at that point. If you're gonna do a big how can I get to this, and how can I? Because you work on the premise after that. If you know what the punch is, then you can work on the premise all day until you get there.
Just little tweaks, and like her last joke about the grooming thing, you telegraphed the punchline.
Man.
So the crowd laughed at the middle of the joke, and then you kind of like tagged it with what was supposed to be the punchline, but the crowd was like, no, we already laughed at that part.
They did
You
that.
know?
They both did that. Even the Casey Anthony thing, because I didn't want to say it out loud. I was like, oh, he's going to say that. You know, you're not Casey. I would never do that to Casey Anthony.
But the Kaylee Anthony tag I thought was really good.
That part.
Really good.
That part. That's why I was like, okay, you saved it. For me, just as a guy, I was like, all right, because I saw that coming, but then when you said the I was like, ooh, that's a roast joke.
Yeah.
Right? That's a dark, good roast joke right there. And I think that's what he was trying to get to initially. And that was great. That's a great tag that he nailed it with. And then what I thought saved his whole battle for me is when he said, you'd be a sexy librarian if you could read it wrong.
And looked way different. Yeah, dude. That was really, really well done. I also enjoyed the off the cuff rebuttal of like, it's like illegal to be a hot man anymore.
Oh, so funny.
So funny.
You can relate, like you were saying.
Yeah, it's just we all get that. We all understand where you're coming from, man. It's a struggle for us, but congratulations on the number 5 battle this week. 3 points for Cleveland. And we move now to the biggest surprise of the season for me. The leaders in the international West, the leaders internationally across the board, Barcelona. Every week they're back and on the countdown. And this week it is week 2 of the run of Alice Russo. 2 weeks in a row, third appearance of the season. She is low-key having a really, under the radar type of season. And this is her latest battle on the podcast. It's number 4 this week. Alice Russo going up against Aiden O'Reilly. Here it is.
Give it up for Alice, everybody. Alice is from Australia. When she was younger, the doctor diagnosed her with Down syndrome. Okay. Alice looks like she would adopt a rescue puppy and then sacrifice it to Satan. Not many people know this, but Alice's face was actually inspiration for all the statues on Easter Island. The big-headed stones inspired by this big-headed stoner.
This is Aiden, the tourist that came up to you on the Rambler and asked where they could buy cocaine. Aiden looks like the guy at uni that did nothing for the group assignment.
That's very true. That's very true.
Aiden has been blessed with the luck of the Irish, and by that I mean he's lucky no one has decided to press charges.
Nice. You can't really see it, but Alice has a tattoo sleeve on her right arm and a wizard sleeve between her legs. Massive vaginal flaps is what I mean.
Jesus Christ.
Alice looks like Big Bird from Depressamy Street.
Depressamy Street is amazing.
But anyone that's seen her vagina calls her Flappy Bird.
Give it up for Popeye's younger brother, Pink Eye. Aiden's head somehow looks like the geometry set I had in primary school. Aiden looks like the kind of guy that works out and eats well during the week just so he can binge drink on the weekend. Wait, did I say binge drink? I meant sexually assault women in a nightclub toilet.
Sorry. Alice met her fiance at uni. Yeah, she did a 4-year degree in microbiology just so she could see his dick.
Small dick jokes running the show this week.
Good thing. Small thing.
Unfortunately, Alice's engagement was a reflection of her lifelong approach to exercise. Didn't work out. She was a fat and a smart child. She had a high BMIQ. Go ahead.
This is Aiden. He looks like he was conceived at a bachelor party. Aiden used to have to get drunk every time he did stand-up, but it's great now he does it sober. It's zero alcohol beer.
Tastes like shit, but...
And that's great, but unfortunately now we all have to get drunk to watch him. Aiden told me he's pretty vanilla in bed. The only time he tried butt stuff, he had to shit out a condom full of pills at airport security.
Drop and squat, baby. Since Alice's engagement ended, she started doing phone call sex work. She's gone from a ring on her finger to ringing and finger. She applied for the position of cam girl, but the clients preferred the camera off.
Damn.
That's because having sex with Alice is like reading a book in Braille. It's easier to finish if you're blind.
Aiden went backpacking through South America and he fell in love with a German girl, which is like going to a Mexican restaurant and saying, I come here for the porridge.
Sorry.
And she broke his heart, which is very sad, but he's a computer programmer, he's a star athlete. He's got such a bright future, and the judge agreed, which is why they dropped the rape charges.
Alice was a bulimic teen, or as they say in Australia, fucking sick cunt. Alice has been depressed since her mum died of cancer. She puts the emo in chemo. Alice is bi, which is short for bye mum. She has one there.
This is Aiden. He looks like he cuts his protein powder with cocaine. Aiden doesn't read the news. He's not up to date with current affairs. The last affair he learned about was the one his dad had with his secretary. And, you know, Aiden's dad had a lot of secrets in his childhood. The only person that dropped more bombshells on Aiden's family during their childhood was the IRA.
All right, number 4 this week. So far, I think the ranking committee is nailing it. Each battle has been better than the one before it in my mind, and this was my favorite one so far. Alice Russo, 3rd appearance of the season. Aiden O'Reilly, first official one, although I think we saw him on one of the best of the off-season ones. He killed it. I thought he was really good. He had a couple of home runs in there.
Yeah, for a debut during the season, Aiden, that was impressive. That because Alice is nice, right? She knows how to write a joke.
Yep.
There's even a point where she was so impressed with his joke writing, she was like, amazing. She sounded like a UK anchor. That was amazing. So that was a lot of fun. He, you know what? Yeah, that's Irish Nate Welch. You know, he's the wordplay pun guy, you know, but he had some jokes that weren't punish.
Yeah.
But those were like devastating actually. But he definitely likes to do a lot of wordplay stuff. So that was fun.
Save your thoughts on puns and wordplay because we're gonna get to one later.
Oh hey.
That we need to. Not even this one. Yeah. Not even this one. It's a pun and wordplay heavy top 4. More on that momentarily. But I will say he had some of my favorite jokes I've heard in a minute. The whole run about her being a phone sex operator. The cam girl, the braille, it's easier to finish when you're blind. The bulimic thing, or as they say in Australia, fucking sick cunt. That was great. And he was just totally like relaxed up there. He was like the field general. At one point, like Phil miscounted the jokes and he went to like end, and he just like very subtly kind of held him back, and he was like, she has one more.
I thought that was so cool. I was like, that's a great opponent. Yeah. That's a cool teammate.
100%.
Like he's just about the show. He's about the performance. I thought, like honestly, on paper, I was like, okay, because I remember Aiden last time, and I wasn't as impressed. And I hate saying that on this thing, but yeah, going into this on paper, I thought Alice was going to mop the floor, but that was. He put up a hell of a fight. I think honestly that if we're counting wins, like that looked like a win for that guy. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think he won. And the thing is, you know, the wins and losses, especially for Alice, because the first time we saw her was when we were in New York. She battled against Alba Phillips, And we all, you, me, and Chris Crespo came away from it like, oh my God, Alice murdered. And then I looked up the results afterwards and Alba won. So it's kind of like, the wins and losses are whatever, but like third appearance in the first 11 weeks for Alice. Barcelona has been dominating the West, and they pick up 4 more points.
Regal's found his Pippin.
Yeah.
Like you need a 2-man. So, I mean, Yamaki didn't really have one last year because if we're talking about, the international guys, it's the UK, it's Tokyo. So we were like, oh, Tokyo's this year's London. Now Barcelona's this year's Tokyo. And they have you have to have a 2-man. I don't know why. Yamaki didn't have one last year, though.
Well, he had Troy Lewis.
Right.
Here's what I'll say. I actually think Yamaki and Troy is closer to like a 1-2 punch than what you have in Barcelona, because what you have in Barcelona is Regal, and then one of the best supporting casts in the league. I don't know who's Pippin, because Alice Russo is great, Mila Kopaeva is great, Stuart Kennedy is great. Now we see Aiden. They are really putting together a roster of people that I think are going to make an impact this season. And I don't know who's going to step up and be that number 2. At this point, it's probably Alice. But I think they have a lot of capable people out there, and consistently like the hottest crowd in the league. Yeah. I will say this. If you watch that battle without headphones and you had trouble with it, go back and watch again with headphones, because I ranked this one. I listened in my car and I didn't catch 30% of what we just caught on here.
Oh,
so,
nice.
So yeah, the audio is such that if you have a pair of headphones and you didn't listen the first, throw them on, go back, give it a rewatch. And I think that might have even affected its ranking, because I think watching it now, I'm like, that might have been top 2, top 3. But really enjoyed the battle, and we move on now to the number 3 battle, and this comes to us from LA, and I want to make a special distinction here. For as much as we talk about New York and Chicago and how they're in there every week, this is 25 straight weeks for LA dating back to last season.
What?
25 weeks in a row on the countdown. The next closest streak, I believe, was 11. New York had a run of 11, and then it was broken up, and then they had another similar run. But 25 weeks in a row for LA, somewhere on the countdown. LA takes a lot of hits in the comments when we release the full shows, because we are running every week and giving opportunities to, we do more battlers than any other city. And some of those undercards are, hit or miss. And you get people in the, oh, this shit's not, Austin's way better, Chicago's way better. But you take the top tier LA guys, I still think they're probably the best in the league. 25 weeks in a row with a main event making the countdown. The numbers speak for themselves. This one's kind of all over the place. I'm excited to see what you guys think in the comments. It's Nate Welch and Robin Tran. It's number 3 this week. Here it is.
What the fuck is that thing on the back of my head?
Oh, is that what you guys were? There's a thing on the back of your head?
First, ladies first, folks. Robin and Nate.
Oh. We'll talk about it after.
All right, everyone, give it up for adult Bobby Hill. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you Robert Mountain. Nate looks like the most annoying clan member. Like after a long day of brutalizing minorities and burning crosses, Nate comes like, hey, you guys want to go to Denny's after this?
Number 1, it would be Waffle House. Fuck Denny's. Number 2, I know I look like a racist. Robin's the one who uses the hard R when she calls them shoplifters. Robin's trans and Vietnamese. I guess that makes a Caucasian.
Yes, yeah. They're mostly clapping because you completed a sentence without drooling. But all right, Nate's been single a long time, Nate looks like he begins every date with, I ain't like other men, and ends every date looking at his bloody hands going, officer, I didn't mean to hug her so hard.
That was a good one, Kim Jong-il. So Ramen still got her noodle. She's been a trans woman for 10 years, but she's still afraid to cut her dick off. I told her just pretend it's somebody in traffic. She'll cut that bitch off, no problem.
Okay. You guys might not know this about Nate. Oh, the comedians know it, but you guys don't know it. Nate always insists that he's won every single roast battle. You know? A couple months ago, he lost to Tom Goss, the championship. He still insists that he won. And I used to think that this meant that Nate was a sore loser, but I've been getting to know him the past couple weeks, and guys, I really think he thinks he won. So we should just tell him he did. He has nothing else going on in his life, you know? So, you know, just not gonna. Everyone, let's start clapping. Nate, you're the real champion. Oh my God, Nate.
No, I'm not.
You're
I don't have
so
the belt no
smart.
more.
You're so smart and brave and funny and hot and everything else. You know, like when we were roast battling, I was one of the judges, and he said that I gave Tom the championship, and I just want to return the favor, and I want to tell. I want to give Nate. Nate is the real champion, everyone. Give it up for Nate. Nate, the real champion, everyone. Yes, the real champion. All right, let's turn the music. Let's turn the music down. How does it feel being the real champion, Nate?
Well,
it doesn't matter how you feel.
That was a good.
Okay, that was. All right, whatever.
All right.
I tried.
The sheepish like a hat.
I think it was worth it.
I love it.
I think it was worth it.
It was worth it. I respect it. I played along with your little Squid Game, and now look at us. So Robin told me she got ADHD. I said, no shit. Asian dude has dong? No way.
No way. All right, look, guys. Seriously, Nate, it meant a lot for Nate to be roast battle champion. One day he's gonna sit his grandson down and go, you know, back in 2024, 2025, I was champion of the show called Roast Battle at a place called the Comedy Store, and it was the crowning achievement of my whole life. And his grandson's gonna look at him and go, Grandpa, when are they gonna let you out of jail for rape?
You know damn well I ain't do it. Y'all keep it going for Mrs. Miyake. The karate can't have no kids. Robin loves to wear them maternity dresses. When are you expecting to kill yourself?
No. All right, no, this is gonna be another swing. A few years ago, Nate was on a show called Kill Tony. You guys know Kill Tony? You do 1 minute of your best material, you know? And I found Nate's 1 minute set. And I have watched this thing so many times, I'm obsessed with it. And I just need to do it all for you. And look, before you think this is mean, I'll tell you why I'm obsessed with it. I want you guys to know that Nate posted this himself. All right, hold on, all right, now I'm from a small town in Louisiana, and I ain't been here that long. And I know my head looks like a dick, but that don't mean I'm a dickhead. I'm not a cop, I'm not a Nazi, and I don't have a degree in American History X. Now, I'll tell you why I'm obsessed with this. Is that the word economy is great. You know, the delivery, everything is great. The only thing that's missing is that it's not funny at all. Shit. It has, like, the ingredients of everything funny except the magic dust that makes something funny, you know? I just look like if Stone Cold Steve Austin and Little Debbie's had a bastard. Like if Stone Cold stopped wrestling in WWE and started wrestling with depression. Like, you see how it's like almost funny? It's like a trans person that kind of passes, you know? Like you're like looking at the joke and it's like, you kind of like when you look at me, you're like, I got what he was going for, but it doesn't really work for me.
Oh my God.
We're almost done. They call him the Texas rattlesnake, and they call me the Louisiana snack cake. I would have cut that one. But I'll tell you this, man. I'm single, and they got a lot of females out here looking for sugar daddies. And I'm like, look, I'm sweet, and I got a dad bod, but I ain't your goddamn sugar daddy. Like, I'm from the bayou, but that don't mean I'm a bayou shit. Now, that actually got a little bit of a laugh on Kill Tony because it's about mistreating women. Now, as of today, this has 591 views. And I just wanted to show Nate what it would feel like for people to laugh at those jokes finally.
Oh!
God damn, dude.
That was 9 months into stand-up. And it got more laughs than you got in here. But I still respect the big swing, Caitlin General Tso chicken. Now, look, we've been calling each other, names all night. And, it's been great getting to know Robin. She's awesome. And she's a real breaker of barriers and stereotypes. Like, after getting to know her and looking at her, she's proof they don't all look alike. The only time she ever hears the word pretty is when the chicks in the bathroom are like, can you get the fuck out of here, pretty, please?
All right, and there's an overtime, believe it or not, which we'll discuss.
She went first. So.
You went first? You're up
for this last round.
Nate Robin, one more time.
All right. I'm trying to decide here. All right, let's go with it.
You can't read. All right.
I was pretending. It's for showmanship. Show them ship, I guess. Whatever. Show people ship.
All right.
Robin looks like she teaches some kind of gay-ass math. Like wigonometry. We're both just, bald, fat dudes who like wrestling.
Do you have more?
No, I'm just, I went all out in a regular battle. I don't got shit.
All right. All right. Even though we look culturally different, Nate is a lot like my family. They all have stupid accents. I'd be happier if they were all dead.
Transaction denied.
All right.
Okay.
That was all I had.
All right. So, the overtime. If we had conveniently forgotten to include the overtime, that might have been even higher.
Well, I nailed it, yeah.
Yeah, but you got to paint the accurate picture, and that was overtime. There are so many things to talk about here. Robin's big swings, Nate's responses to those swings, the thing that was on the back of your head. Where do you want to start?
What was that thing on the back of my fucking head?
I didn't even see it.
Let's go to the beginning of this.
Do you want to just pull up the freeze frame of the beginning again? All right, let me put my glasses on too.
Yeah, it's like a scab.
Now it's gone.
That's what I'm saying, Chan.
There was something there before that's not there now?
That's crazy. Whoa. Yeah, now it's on my ear.
Yeah.
Oh, that little, was that like a white thing? It's probably a speck on the camera.
Oh, yeah, it's an iPhone. So yeah.
Bro, you were about to go get medically diagnosed for like a cancerous growth.
Do I have like some kind of dermatitis? What is that?
It's a spot on the fucking camera. Amazing. Well, now that we have that cleared up, you want to talk about the battle?
Hell yeah, that was a great battle.
Yeah.
The end. No. No, all right. So Robin watches this and man, I got to say that last joke that's the meanest thing. It's like John DeJota's mean thing, but there's self-deprecation in there. There's analysis. It was like she sunned him throughout. She walked him through his set, self-deprecated herself I've never seen anything like that. That thing was so well fucking layered, even watching it back. Now, I was in the room and I saw that and I was impressed. Watching it back, I'm even more impressed because there's a lot of layers that I didn't even see. And as, a comic, a performer, and, a writer, there's Robin. That was a fucking masterpiece, that last joke. That was a Jota, maybe not on steroids, maybe like a cycle HGH.
I mean, yeah, it was, I think those things when done right age so well. They translate so well to footage. Because in the room, it felt like it was big, but it felt like there were some dry moments kind of like in the middle of it.
And we didn't trust her after the first big swing.
Yeah, kind of. And that was such a tough one to judge. And that was one piece of feedback I got from somebody ranking. They're like, I can't believe that went to overtime. And the thing is, in the room, it's just kind of like, well, Nate did control the early part of the battle. He had a lot of big pops. He had more traditional row stuff. Robin had the big swing and a miss in the third turn. And overall, I do feel like it was kind of even. But watching it back here, it's just like almost everything that happened after that joke, the Kill Tony thing, didn't matter.
Exactly.
It didn't matter. You saw how it affected Nate. He was playing along with it and pantomiming and mouthing it and everything, but it really seemed to affect him.
Wouldn't it? When somebody, it's the same thing as Yoda did to our boy Jack Weiler.
Yeah,
that you read somebody's setback to them because that's what they have.
Yeah,
especially in the moment of time. And he did post that too, but for her to just pick it apart, just almost like filleting a man with words. That's just so mean. I relate to it so much as a comic. You're just like, that's fucked up, man.
And the funny thing is, Nate won the battle because we went to overtime because it was so weird and hard to judge because they were doing two different things. And then in overtime, it came down to me. There was one vote for Nate. There was one vote for Robin, and Robin, in the middle of me talking, was like, he won. He got more laughs. I could tell this kind of thing. I have an internal clock that keeps track of the laughs and everything like that. She's like, I'm telling you, he won. She told me to vote for him.
Yeah.
And now watching it back, I'm like, maybe he did have more laughs, but maybe that doesn't matter.
And I keep bringing back this boxing thing because that's what it felt like. It felt like Nate was controlling the fight, and in that last round, those last jokes, that last joke round, it was like he was just kind of cruising to get to, just to get home. Like, I won this fight. I'm good, kind of a thing. Robin had to use haymakers. It's the last, and that was the haymaker. And honestly, if we're going joke for joke, maybe Nate does control 3 out of the 5, maybe 4 out of the 5. But that fifth is up for joke of the year. And I don't know if you can beat a joke of the year, even if you have, let's say, Robin had 2 to maybe 1 dud or something like that, because that big swing does take it away. But that thing levels you up maybe 2 or 3 points.
You can, you can win the first 11 rounds in a boxing fight and then get knocked out.
And that's what that felt. That's why I was like, oh, that knocked you out, brother. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Watching it back, I'm like, man, I think I probably would have gone with Robin.
Yeah.
And the only reason I even bring it up, because again, who cares about wins and losses and everything, but Nate is going to be, up for All-Star consideration. At this point, he's 1-1. Both battles ranked. He had a number 1 and a number 3, so he's got 12 points on the RBL scale. And he has another battle coming up in, I believe, this coming Tuesday. So if he wins that, he'll be 2-1. He'll have 2 really highly ranked podcast appearances. But boy, that's one where it's like, yeah, on paper that adds to your resume, but watching it back, it's like, I don't know.
But it's against Robin Tran.
Yeah.
You're going against a legend, and she's trying big stuff, and you're just kind of staying in your pocket because that wins. For consistency, you got to give it to Nate there. I mean, and ultimately, Robin was right. Not to take
anything away from him.
Yeah, in the room, he did win, but when we watch that thing back, it's pretty close. And that last joke, if we're going joke for joke, you're like, that's a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
I don't think you can't survive that.
I agree. Well, either way, it was a lot of fun on both their parts. Very different styles, very different approaches, and it led to an at times awkward, but at the end of the day, very entertaining battle that comes in number 3 this week.
Yeah. And sorry about mentioning the nuclear bomb, Robin. That's PTSD for your family. Go ahead, sorry.
Wasn't that Japan?
Oh, I'm just being racist now.
Yeah. Well, it's the backbone of the show, so thank you. We'll keep it moving right now with the number 2 battle of the week, and boy, Jack Trainer, wherever he is right now, is happy with this. He felt like these guys got screwed over last week. He let us know repeatedly. This week, they come in number 2 for a Manchester versus Scotland battle. This is a guy that I believe is a rookie this year. He already had a number 1 battle. Now he has a number 2 battle, and I still don't exactly know how to pronounce his last name. It's Alex Teague. That's what I'm going with. That's my guess. Versus Scotland's Rookie of the Year last season, Kyle Samuel. Here it is.
Right, cool. This is Kyle, although I think he should be called Yeast or Flour because of how inbred he looks.
Add it.
Yep. I'm going to keep a running tally on just this battle.
I hope he does eventually find love. Less Beauty and the Beast, more Chromeo and Juliet.
That's amazing.
And Kyle did a celebrity lookalike scan 3 times, and every time he got Bruce Lee. Kyle is 32. Bruce Lee died at 32, so fingers crossed.
Alex looks like the Weasley that was accused of a sex crime. Alex looks like the love child of the chef from Ratatouille and the rat from Ratatouille. Alex has a 3-legged dog. Yeah, he's a stinky, piss-riddled, and he deserves to be put down. But enough about Alex. Oh, I wish I'd cut that out.
Yep.
My go? Cool. When he was a child, he played badminton with someone who turned out to be a sexual predator, which explains why he calls it a sucklecock. He lost his virginity just before he turned 17. Apparently, it was the best game of badminton he'd ever played. And sexually, he says he's vanilla, which I think he means that he likes to get passed around by third world farmers.
Me and Alex used to play badminton together.
Beautifully done.
Can't really explain this, but Alex looks like his dad still tucks him in.
He does.
Alex looks like an NPC in a farming simulator. Alex has studied English, yeah, and the entire time that he studied English, he never read a single social cue. There you go.
Oh, thank you, Gozzy Osborne. Kyle looks like if you tried to draw Post Malone from memory. Kyle looks like the kind of guy who'd take dates to game shops against their will. He's known for non-consensual CEX. And Kyle looks like my Tony Hawk's Pro Skater character if he had Down syndrome.
I asked Alex what his occupation was, and he told me that he works in the Warhammer shop. I asked him what his relationship status was, and he told me he works in the Warhammer shop. Alex is buying time till he can go back to the Warhammer shop. Alex's mum has a massive dildo collection. She calls them her Warhammers.
Is it my go?
Yeah.
All right. He's a Glasgow homeowner, which I think means he just found a really nice box.
That's great.
Yep.
That's great.
Kyle looks racist. He won't listen to My Chemical Romance because he hates black parades. And his girlfriend was a Jehovah's Witness, and she left the religion to be with him. Well, you know, as they say, when one door closes.
All right.
Yes, I play Warhammer. Fuck you guys.
Alex has a troubled relationship with his mother. You know, it's tough for her though, you know, because he was inside of her for 9 months, aged 19. Alex looks like the last thing he kissed on the lips was a fleshlight. I mean, the only people to ever describe Alex as an 8 or a 9 are referring to how many pints they would need. And finally for this section, so some people sing along to rap songs and they say the N-word. Alex looks like he adds it to Mumford & Sons.
It makes them better, honestly. He's a computer science teacher, which is mad because he looks like he thinks a hard drive is what they do in the Fast and the Furious films. Yeah, all right, fair. In fairness, you all thought I was going to make a nonce joke then, which would have been easy, but Kyle doesn't find being a nonce easy because the kids keep declining his invitations to play badminton. All right.
Alex gets called Margaret Thatcher. Not because he moved from the south to ruin the north, but because of how he fucks minors.
It's really smart.
Alex loves Chinese food. The people he has sex with are often described the same way as Chinese food. Salty and sticky and laced with a white powder.
Allegedly.
I can't really explain this, but Alex looks like the type of guy to say, well, I don't mind if I diddly do. Before participating in a gang.
We're diddly done.
All right. The number 2 battle this week, Manchester picking up 6, Scotland picking up 3. One of this year's top rookies versus one of last year's top rookies. What do you think?
Dude, Kyle Samuel.
That's maybe his best performance.
The king of the misdirects.
Really good.
My God, man.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Kyle. I know Jack and we were talking about you last week, and then you just appear, and he looks like if Shane grew up in Ireland. Shane Gillis.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? He's got that whole look about him. But man, that guy, he's got it all. He's a 5-tool player. Like, that was, as roast battle is concerned, I mean, that was so just textbook everything. Like, you're talking about running list of jokes. If you could just take like a structure or a prompt and everything that roast battle does, he kind of did that, but he flipped everything with just so much great misdirect. I'm always impressed when I see that guy, and this 2025 version of Kyle Samuel looks fucking dangerous.
Yeah, man, that was his first battle of the season. Came out swinging for sure. I think that a couple of the misdirects, maybe he telegraphed a little bit, like the dog, but enough about him. Let's talk about his dog or whatever. Right. And then there was another one, but he landed way more than he missed, and he's a really, really good writer. The whole run about the Warhammer shop is like, that's what you should do if you have 3 or 4 turns per round. You know, figure out a way to do something like that where you have a runner. And like, really every time I thought he was going into a different thing. And it just kept coming back to like the Warhammer shop.
Perfect.
It was beautifully done.
Yeah.
It was really, really good. Alex had some really good stuff too. I thought this was the most well-written battle of the week.
Absolutely.
So I want to get all of that out before I get to my list here.
Okay.
Because when you're doing that many jokes, and neither of these guys are big personality, none of them are doing the Robin Tran or Nate Welch thing. It's like all we have is the joke writing. And 90% of it was really good, but there are a few at Charity, if you're watching.
And that was Kyle in the beginning. I think until he got hit, that's what happened, right? It was what was the joke? It was after that dog joke, and then he did the badminton callback.
Yeah.
And then Alex did an audible and switched up.
Badminton.
You know what I mean? He should have switched it because Kyle did it. He just did your joke that you were going to do, and he didn't have the wherewithal to switch it up, and he should have. Because before that, you're right. It was Alex in the beginning, and you're like, oh, come on, Kyle. I know better. And then I know you better. And then he does the badminton callback, and then he's off to the races after that with the Warhammer. To sneak in a theme like that. It's just solid. But now go ahead. Sorry.
And it's just the perfect rebuttal. It's that we used to play badminton.
Oh, I mean, they nailed it.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And, everything was, it was a great battle. Here are the ones that I wrote down that I think are at or near the territory of like retiring these jokes. Inbred. The wordplay of like the word inbred and in BREAD. So it's like you're inbred because, you get it. We've heard a lot of those. The character in a video game. You're the creative player, the final boss, the NPC. And the reason I know this is played out is because it's a joke that I use as a judge. If I have 30 seconds to write jokes, they shouldn't be the same jokes that people are writing when they sit down and prepare like a full-blown like battle. That one to me is like a lazy, I do it because it's lazy and I have 30 seconds.
Literally saying the same thing as a host. Like you let the host and the judges kind of like do the surface level bullshit. Like let them have it. I mean, that's the only thing I would say about that of like, you guys do your homework because we're just riffing up there for the most part.
Yeah, exactly. And our riffs shouldn't be the same things that you're writing. So that's
right.
that.
We should sound like Chat GPT.
Yeah, exactly. You look like so-and-so if someone tried to draw him from memory. Yeah. That one has, although, I thought it was well done in this. It can make me laugh and still be like, okay, it has to go on the list. And the last one, adding the N-word to white songs.
Yeah, you're right. But that's a classic for me. I love it.
Okay, so
I mean, obviously, it's hack. This is hack GPT we're talking about. I'm saying it's still great, and I think that's even hack to say shit.
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah,
that's the first time I heard that.
But man, yeah, adding the inward because he does look like that.
He does. He does.
And then even Alex had a great little, like spin on it, being like, it's better when you do. So I'm like, I'll give you guys that one. That was fun. I got to shout out Kyle on another one. It was the 9 months. Age 19 inside of his mother.
Oh yeah,
man. I'd never heard, because I was like, all right, where's this going? That's what I'm saying. That he's the king of the misdirect.
Oh, that's so because that misdirect I saw from a mile away.
Yeah, but I was like, what's the age gonna? I just thought that was perfect. The Margaret Thatcher minors thing, I thought was a great misdirect too.
Margaret Thatcher was a great joke.
King of the misdirect, man.
Yeah, man. He had a lot. He had a lot of great stuff. And Alex, heck of a start to his season.
Oh yeah.
The only Manchester number 1 of the season, and now the only Manchester number 2 of the season. He is their points leader. Not Jordan Ducharme, not McEnroe, but Alex Teague.
Every year there's a new one. I love this. There's every year there's somebody new that we got to check out, right? It's Alex, it's Alice in Barcelona. Mm-hmm. So this is fun, man. I love new talent.
Alex, I promise by your 5th appearance on the podcast, I will learn how to pronounce your last name. That is my guarantee to you. But you still got 3 more to go, so I could fuck it up a couple more times.
Is it not Teague, like Jeff Teague?
It's Tighe. How would you pronounce that?
Oh, I don't know. They listen.
That's what I'm saying.
We say the Thames River. It's the Thames for them. It's THA. I don't know. It's a fucking river. Your last name's Teague now.
Yeah, dude.
Now we can't.
He's Alex Teague.
Honestly, that's some white slave owner shit I just did. I just appropriated your guys' culture again. Your name's not Toby. Your name's not Kunta. It's Toby. I just did that to Alex. I was like, yeah, your name's Teague now, all right? Because that's all I know. I don't know how to pronounce Kunta Kinte.
Let's get to the number 1 battle of the week. And as much as we do like seeing new faces and new people pop up, here are 2 familiar faces, including one extending her own record. We'll talk more about that afterwards. There's a lot of ramifications of this battle. But let's just get into it and watch it. It's the number 1 battle this week, featuring the battler with the most number 1s in the history of the show. Nobody else has more than 4. For Paige Wesley, this is number 8. 8th number 1 battle going up against a guy who has 12 total podcast appearances, last year's Bay Area MVP. The Bay Area number 1 this week, Paige Wesley versus Dakota Fry. Here it is.
Of course she went second. She loves seconds. I'm proud that Paige just hasn't ate me yet, dude. This is the closest she's ever been to a fry without freaking out. Yeah. No, honestly, I love Paige Wesley. She's a total babe, and by babe I mean she's a talking pig. Right? Yeah. Does she look like if you fucked her without a condom, she'd give you swine flu?
I'd never let you near my bacon, you fat fuck. Like, sure, I'm fat, but you put the wailing wall, right? Dakota's bisexual. His first gay lover was Oscar Mayer.
Paige writes and screenwrites and acts in horror movies. I pulled up her IMDb. You may know some of her movies. The Texas Roadhouse Massacre. Taco Bell Raiser. Kathy Bates Motel.
How dare you insult Kathy Bates like that? Dakota spent thousands on vet bills this year because regular doctors don't treat pigs, but he lost 2 dogs and his wife to a divorce this year. Because any way you slice it, he can't hold a bitch down.
Paige's husband proposed to her at the county fair. Instead of giving her a ring, he gave her a blue ribbon. They don't fuck doggy style. They like fucking piggyback ride.
Yeah, he's strong. What about it? Fun fact, Dakota used to do child pageants because they love giving ribbons to livestock, so you're familiar. Dakota, sorry. Dakota, I don't know how to explain this, but I feel like your yarmulke's made out of tortillas. This is a true story. Dakota won the Little Fiesta King pageant. His secret talent was when he rubs his thighs together, it sizzles like fajitas.
Paige was bullied growing up in school. Yeah, it's fucked up. She was bullied, and that's not cool. We don't like bullying, right? I mean, roast battle show. We don't like bullying, but it is kind of fucked up. The bullies never took her lunch money because taking that money would be grand larceny. Yeah. They used to always call her fucked up names like Kevin Bacon, but that one actually tracks because she's real porky, and diabetes is going to make her have to cut her foot loose.
I'll just ask Logan for tips. It'll be fine. Dakota looks like the only Jew that wandered for 40 years in the deserts.
Yeah, I might be Jewish and I celebrate Hanukkah, but you look like you fucking celebrate Hakuna Matata. Fucking. Is that 4? Ah, fuck you. You guys want more jokes? Yeah. True story, in high school, so Paige went to high school with MC Hammer's son. She got sexually rejected by him. Can you imagine being such a fat white woman that even black people were like, nah, I can't touch this?
It's just because he wasn't ready, because Hammer don't want him to hurt him. So, Dakota got sexually assaulted by a woman with Down syndrome. I know they're strong. But Dakota's still mad about it because she never called him back.
Oh, man.
All right, there it is. Paige, Wesley, Dakota Fry, the #1 battle of the week. I'm just going to come out and say it. I was stunned that this one ended up as #1.
That wasn't the #1 battle this week.
No.
It made the countdown. That wasn't the, I mean, after what we just saw.
I had it 6th.
That feels more appropriate, honestly. I would say 5 even.
This was the most consistently, pretty much everybody had this 1 through 3. And, you know, I'm asking myself, same with like AJ Leidig and Katie Kincaid last week, where it's like, is the bar so high for these guys that like I'm subconsciously using that against them? And probably to a degree. Like Paige Wesley to me is like a Mount Rushmore battler for roast battle ever. And she's borderline RBL Mount Rushmore. Right. Like through multiple eras, she's been one of the best in the world. I do not feel like this was her strongest showing. She completely blanked on a joke for a solid 10 seconds in the middle. Dakota wasn't as good as she was. I felt like it was a subpar performance for both of them. There were a couple of, hits. They kind of brought it back towards the end. But, to me, 8 number 1 battles for Paige Wesley should probably still be at 7. I was surprised that this one was number 1.
Very surprised. Even after the Robin and Nate battle, after the Kyle and Alex battle, which was probably the most consistent with the writing. I mean, even the rage, that was surprising. And just Dakota does the thing where he's gonna go with the theme, and if it's a porn star, he's gonna use a lot of puns, a lot of wordplay there. If it's a big person, it's gonna. I've heard the babe jokes, I've heard the blue ribbon jokes, I've heard all those, and he was just kind of going down the list basically of Hack GPT and just making that. That was I felt like that wasn't their best performance. I'm a little underwhelmed on that one.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I felt. I felt like Dakota's best stuff was when he was not being overly reliant on wordplay.
Correct.
I think that that's
the Footloose. I mean that we both even like, oh okay, because we saw it coming, and then it was like, oh okay, there's a little bit misdirect. There's a reference that we haven't heard before. When it comes to diabetes, getting your foot cut off, Footloose, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and then even like Paige was rebuttaling using the same joke that he just used.
Correct.
Like he did the blue ribbon thing, and then it seemed like she had that ready, but instead of like being like, oh, he just did it, she's like, I'm gonna do it anyway. And like right after him, and it was like her rebuttal was the same as his actual like joke, or at least that's how I perceived it.
Yeah, they both kept calling each other pigs.
Yeah, there was a lot of pig talk in the battle. The list of movies, the pun like flips on the movies was kind of like, that's peak. Like here's a list of wordplay that I've put together.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like you're not even spacing it out. It's just like, I'm just going to beat you to death with like puns.
Right.
One after another. And that's where I'm like, all right, you just got to disguise it a little bit better.
Just a little bit.
It could be
better.
one of your weapons.
You're in the season. You're in season. Right? You're battling one of the best ever to do this. So, I mean, I think he was just going for, you know what? This is my superpower. I know how to do this. I'm just going to bludgeon her with wordplay jokes because, that's my best skill against probably the most skilled battler in history.
Yeah. And, I get it. But, to me, it just felt like kind of like a one-dimensional kind of battle. And they're both just capable of better. That's all.
Exactly.
That's all.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
It's just, it can't, we have to say this as number one, that's.
This goes back to the comment. And I will never come on here and just be like, oh yeah, that was great if I didn't think it was great, especially with two people I respect as roasters as much as like Paige and Dakota. This just wasn't it. And Paige knew that. I talked to her after the battle. She's like, I won, but like, it wasn't great. And I kind of blanked on a joke in the middle. And like, she knows as well as she's not going to watch this and be like, I can't believe they were saying it wasn't great. She knows.
Oh yeah.
She knows. But on a week where, people seem split on different things and,
But this gives the Bay Area more points now.
It does. It does.
Ranking committee. Fuck.
Anything that empowers Josh Means to record another hip hop diss track at some point has to be discouraged.
They would do this too, right before. This happens every time before the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Bay Area, they get a little bit of confidence, and now they've had too many number ones, and you know what it is? It's because it's those two.
What do you mean?
Like you're saying about the AJ Leidig and Katie Kincaid thing. I think you're right. I think it's name brands usually rank higher.
Yeah, they do. And for me, I think it goes in the opposite direction. I think I tend to rank them lower because it's like my expectations are so high.
Wouldn't you?
But I think some people just get fooled into being like, well, it has those guys. Maybe I missed something. It must be good.
Right.
It must be better than I realized. And I just didn't think that was it this week. But
it's like if it's Allen Iverson and Jordan, you're just like, well, this is obvious. Because honestly, on paper, I looked at this and I'm glad I didn't say it in the microphone because I was like, oh, this is going to be good. I already felt like it was going to be good. They had good energy going into it. I was like, this is going to be great. On paper, this is great. And then I'm like, no, man, you guys, yeah. And I think with Paige, she was trying some stuff. I think like Robin, she was like working on stuff. She's like, I can try some new stuff because it's not like she's getting bored, but she's won so much. She's just like, she wants to play with her food a little bit, And I think she may have got caught up in that, may have tripped her up a little bit because she was going for fat jokes too.
Paige is also going crazy with the number of battles this year. That was her 4th battle. We are 11 weeks into the season. As we record this, she's battling Cookie Williams in the Bay tonight.
That's awesome.
She is battling at the first Vulcan show against Heather Keith down in Austin.
Jeez. She's going against name brands.
Yeah, so she will be at 6 battles in the first 3 months of the season, which is a lot against big name people. And I would say she's the leading candidate to be the Bay Area's representative at the All-Star game too.
Yeah,
so,
she's got the most appearances, right?
Yeah. And she's yeah, I think she's third in the league in points now behind Regal and Tori Ward. So, Paige is this is not a fat joke at all, putting a lot on her plate this year, and she's taken on a lot of top flight opponents, and you're bound to have like an off week or two, and in this case, her off week was the number one battle. So
this is a Benny the Butcher line, but yeah, she's got a lot on her plate, but the plan is to eat.
It always is. It always is. That was a fat joke. All right, let's look at the standings before we get out of here. So LA picks up 5 points this week. The Bay Area picks up 7. Austin with 2. That puts us where we're at in the West right now. LA, after 25 straight weeks on the countdown, now leads the entire league with 51 points. The East is back to a tie. Chicago only picking up 1. New York misses the countdown entirely. Very rare that you see Chicago and New York combined for 1 point. And people were I had people ranking and sending in things like, I don't know what to do when Chicago and New York are not good. Like, I'm so confused. Like, I don't, they were thrown off. It was jarring for people. Atlanta in third with 11 points. Cleveland picking up 3 more this week. They are in fourth there with 9. We go to the West. Barcelona extending their lead. Scotland jumping up to 13.5. They're still a ways back, but they leapfrog Tokyo in the wild card. And then we look at the East. Manchester opening up a healthy lead on Tokyo. London and Sydney. And in the West, Vancouver and Toronto. I don't know. Man.
The London fall off is something that's
crazy.
RBL lore for me. I mean, like season 1, I've been enamored with London ever since that.
Yep.
And Shalaka and all the superstars they have over there, and I haven't seen these guys in 2 years. I feel like.
Yeah. Were it not for Helen Kay coming to the States, they would have no points.
Wow.
None.
What happened to Luke? Luke Hall.
He's battling.
All right.
We watched one of his battles. They're sending in battles every week. Credit where it's due. They're just not. They're not connecting like they used to. And, still time. We'll see what happens. And then as far as the wild cards go, Chicago and New York, whichever city would come in second based on the tiebreakers, I haven't done the math, they would be leading the wild card. The Bay Area, 5.5 points back on that. And then Austin, a little bit behind them. Internationally, Scotland barely leading Tokyo. And that spot is still wide open, up for grabs. And 11 weeks into the season, the race to avoid relegation, Toronto, last in the league with 1 point. Somebody from the WRBL will be replacing the last place team in the RBL. Toronto, gotta get on the board.
That's just like last year's Montreal. We're always going to get rid of a Canadian city. We're so American.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Canada.
Yeah, if you guys become the 51st state, we can add you to the U.S. division. But that's up to you. I'm not telling you to do it or not to do it. I'm just saying there are benefits. All right, that was this week's episode. June 15th, we're at the Mothership for 2 dates. Tickets are available right now. July 13th, we are at the Comedy Cellar for the All-Star Game. Go ahead. I don't know if those tickets are live yet.
Live.
They are. Okay, great. Jump on that. Get those early. We sold out last time. We'll sell out this time. You want to be there for that. In the Belly Room every Tuesday. Anything else you want to plug?
May 25th, hit up Vulcan, check out their new venue. Austin is crazy. I mean, that's the city right there. And then we have another date with Lafayette.
That's right. Yeah.
24th and 25th.
Is it 27th, 28th?
27th, 28th in Lafayette. June 27th, 28th in Lafayette. We're doing a double date with some surprises. A lot of Louisiana battlers, some New Orleans battlers, some Lafayette battlers, maybe some other states from the WRBL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're finalizing all that right now. So if you're in any of those places, come see us. If not, subscribe to the YouTube and follow us on Instagram, all that shit.
RoastBattleLeague.com.
Let's roast.